So as it haven't been obvious with my talking accent, I am actually an Indian and it's the festive time of Diwali of the year. So I thought of making something in the spirit of this festival. Let's do an Unreal Engine environment on this theme. But here's the twist. Currently it's the evening of 7th November and I have to go on some family trip on the morning of 10th. So I only have one day to complete this project as one day will be required in rendering and editing. So let's launch Unreal and let's just say this is not a start you would want on a time challenge. After successfully wasting a portion of time, let's create our project and meanwhile let me tell you what I would be creating. My idea is to make a home scene on the night of Diwali and let me provide some context first. So Diwali is one of the most prominent festival of India. It's called the Festival of Lights as it was the time when Lord Ram with his wife and brother returned to his kingdom Ayodhya and people of Ayodhya welcomed them by illuminating the city. So people on this day also lights their home with string lights and diyas, oil lamps in English. So I'm creating a similar ambience with what I have experienced in my life. First I created the outdoor structure of the house with Unreal modeling tools and I'm going for a generic modern Indian house. Then I used Quixel Mixer to make textures for the floor. It's more common in India to have tile flooring instead of wooden and I made this brownish granite tile texture which resembles to tiles I have at my home. Now to add realism, I also added dust on the tiles especially in the corners and in spaces between tiles because as somebody said, imperfection is the perfect perfection. I also added blend materials which was something I covered in this video. Now I can put some dirt in the tile. Similarly, I created a plaster material for the wall and also added tile trims at the bottom which I think is used to protect wall from moisture or it's for maybe aesthetic purpose. For making windows and doors, I used some assets from Unreal Marketplace to save time. I also tried to model them so as to make it as close to my living experience like these wooden net doors. But yeah, maybe another day. Next thing I made was railings using Unreal modeling tools. I hope I don't have to use Blender, otherwise people will know my exceptional skills. After placing this column, we have our house structure ready, except don't look there, camera won't be covering that. I hope I don't have to use Blender, otherwise. So I had to. Our Diwali home won't be complete without diya or so-called earthen lamps. This is the model, clearly not my best work but my only work. Then I also made oil and flame which is just a circle and sprite particle with wiggle shaders. Now I'm really short on time and there's so much things to do. So clearly you would use pre-made assets and focus on placing them and completing the project and not model anything else. No. My dumbass was like, let's model string light in Blender. And let's make my own blueprint class using spline curves which populates these lights along a wire and also with random rotations. Well done. But jokes aside, this blueprint class saved me so much time placing these string lights, otherwise I couldn't imagine it placing them manually. Then I used this spot model from Megascan's library and made the soil by displacing a high poly count circle with displacement map of the soil texture. This was something I did in my abandoned area project. I also used plants from Megascan's library and added them in the scene. I also placed some plants like this in the close corner of camera which sort of creates a natural vignetting effect. After that I added string lights to plants also, which was to say at least not fun. Which was to say at least not an activity or a person that gives you pleasure and enjoyment. I also added lamps around the level and it was finally time for lighting. So I made a night sky atmosphere with some warm lights on the ceiling as well. I finished the inside house by placing some binds and curtains and also adding point lights inside. Now to cover the horizon, I added trees and a distant city which should be distant, otherwise you would have to look at this monstrosity. And as I was getting to the end, there was one crucial thing missing when talking about Diwali, and that is firecrackers. So I also made fireworks with Niagara particle system, and I think with this we have every element we needed. Then I made a level sequence, also added very little camera shake and then added it to movie render queue. And with this we are ready for rendering and let's have a look at the time. So what? I was late one night. I had a bug last night. I used path tracing but string lights were not getting rendered in it. I wasn't able to solve the issue, so human it is. I had to wrap up my work this morning. What can I say? I have human needs. I have to sleep, eat and do all that shit. Let's hope I have time for rendering and editing this. And let's see the result. Thanks for watching. In the end, I was happy with what I was able to do in such short amount of time. Also, some days ago, I released an awesome game which lets you create anything. Do check that out and the video as well. Again, thanks for watching. Subscribe to see more things like this and happy Diwali to you all.